meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission to order. I'll let the record show we're missing one commissioner, Mr. Decker. First call, let's see here. First order of business. Is there any change to the order of business, Mr. Hadley?
No, Mr. Chairman. The only thing I would have to add is I'd like to welcome our 2 new members and thank them for volunteering.
Okay, we can do that. Another order, something that's not on there, electing a chairman. Mr. Jackson was done in December, I believe, for many, many years. So we need to discuss electing a chairman. Do we want to do that now?
I nominate Jason Frederick.
Second.
I unnominate myself.
You what?
I unnominate myself.
Can he do that?
Oh, well, to who?
At this time, I'd entertain any other motions for chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Any other motions or any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, make motion to cease nominations and cast unanimous ballot for Mr. Frederick as chairman. Or entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion by Shirley, second by Scott. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Aye. I'm just kidding. All right, let's move on. Next item on the agenda would be approving the minutes from the December 19th meeting. I only had one catch. I didn't call the meeting to order. It must have been Commissioner Jackson. I was absent, so we'd have to make that change. Ready to see anything else?
Motion to approve minutes.
We have a
Second.
motion to approve and a second by Shirley. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes with corrections, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda would be welcoming our new members. Mr. Troy Bush and Mr. Brad Cordnoy. We're expecting about a 5 or 10 minute synopsis of your life, so if you want to start. So if you want to just give a little brief background, so.
My name is Troy Bush. I'm a Dickinson native, born and raised here, went away to school, moved back 15 years ago. I currently run our family business, which is a building materials supply company here in Dickinson called Bush Lumber Company. Pleased to be a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission and looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Troy. Welcome. Brad?
Hello, I'm Brad Cordnoy. I've been a resident of Dickinson all my life. Raised here, went to Dickinson High School, graduated. Went to Wyoming Tech, got out of a mechanic degree, went and worked in oil field. Then after that, met my wife, Lori. Got married, working at Viking Glass, and took over Viking Glass, and her father retired, so about 5 years now. And really enjoy the community and just want to be a part of it and working with everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. All right, we'll move on to our first agenda item.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
If I could
Mr. Hadley.
would you like to nominate a vice chairman also?
Oh.
In your absence, that might be a good time to do that also.
I
Just
guess
to be your
we'll open up nominations for a vice chairman. I forgot about that.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Bullinger. I'll second that.
Any further nominations? Any further nominations? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to cease nominations and cast a unanimous vote. Motion, anybody?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Shirley,
Second.
second by Scott Karski. Any other discussion? Not all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Nominations have ceased. Welcome, Vice Chairman Bollinger. Well,
Thanks, Chairman.
all right, now we can start on the first action item.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item is a preliminary final minor plat. There are 2 lots in the ETZ consisting of 5 acres apiece. The agenda had a typo. It said on a parent lot of 21 acres. Obviously, it's a 10-acre site, so that, just to clarify that, that's a correction. I believe the applicant and the representative are here. There haven't been any public comments on this. The neighbor to the north that owns considerable acreage to the north did come into the office and just inquired of what the request was and didn't have a problem with it. I just wanted to know what was going on. So there was no other requests. They have obtained all the approvals necessary for final plat approval, and staff would recommend approval.
Okay, if there's anybody here on behalf of the applicant that would like to say anything, you're welcome to do so at this time. If not, it seems like it's pretty straightforward. Commission members, any questions, concerns?
I move the City of Dickinson Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of FLP-001-19, Better Subdivision Preliminary Final Plot as depicted in Attachment A and meeting all the requirements of the Dickinson Municipal Code and also being in the interest of public health, safety, and welfare.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bollinger. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No. The first item passes with unanimous vote. Okay. Second item on the agenda is a special use permit. Mr. Hadley, would you like to introduce that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Second item is a group daycare request, and it has gone through the process. Staff has approved and looked at this, all the departments. It's located at 2735 Country Oak Drive. You can see the operation hours and the business plan that's presented. They have not obtained any comments, negative comments from any of the property owners, and the applicant actually has obtained 5 or 6 property owners that are directly adjacent to this request that are in favor of it. I believe the applicant's catering to mostly the school district employees, and I believe she's here as well. Staff would also recommend approval of this request
Okay.
with the conditions of approval.
Thanks, Mr. Hadley. Ms. Rasmussen, would you like to say anything?
Nope, I'm excited to start.
Okay.
Cheers out here.
All right, wonderful. Commissioners, any questions or concerns with any of the conditions? Excuse me.
I assume the neighborhood has approved it?
Yeah, she's got some signatures in here from her
Okay.
direct neighbors, so.
I didn't read it, I'm sorry.
Any other questions or concerns? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move the City of Dickinson Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the petition for a special use permit, SUP 001-19 for a group daycare, subject to any appropriate conditions required by the commission as meeting all the requirements and intent of the Dickinson Municipal Code and also being in the interest of the public health, safety, and welfare.
Second.
There was a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the special use permit signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations. looking at our agenda for the day, that kind of wraps up our action items, other than some work session stuff.
That's correct.
Do we need to adjourn then, or
I'm sorry.
do we need to adjourn the regular meeting?
You don't need to adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
You can obviously adjourn the hearings because you just voted on that.
All right. Well, looks like all our action items are done. We're going to move on to the first discussion item, the Renaissance Zone. Mr. Hadley, do you want to discuss that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packet, you'll see a Renaissance Zone map. And really what we want to do is just introduce this to you. Stephen is going to propose, if you have any comments or questions on it, we can discuss it again next month. But, you know, what we're doing is trying to move some of the more residentially in nature areas out of the Renaissance Zone because they haven't been active, and move them into the commercial area, predominantly in the downtown core and then along Villard. And the map you see, that the red areas are the red areas that we are transferring. The yellow areas surrounded in purple are the areas that we're adding back in. We're adding into the Renaissance Zone. We have to do an update I know we just updated our plan last year, but the actual plan expires this year. And by July, we need to have it formalized, and the state needs to adopt it once again. It just coincided that we had to update our plan last year, and we have to update it with the state this year. So we did talk about this considerably, the area that surrounded in green last year. And, you know, I don't know, I'd just like to hear your thoughts of whether or not, you know, I'd like to move this forward if we can. If you'd like to talk about it more, we can, but I'd like to put it as an action item for next month for a hearing on including the areas in purple in the Renaissance Zone.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. My only question was, why are we leaving this little strip on Villard off?
This area?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have enough blocks, sir. Otherwise, we'd love to include those if our census comes back. Hopefully, at 25,000, we can add 2 of those blocks back, and we might be able to add a half a block because we're taking the City Hall block out of the Renaissance Zone too. So we might be able to gain 2.5 blocks of that back, but it's all based on population.
Sure, okay.
So no, we'd love to include those, but we picked the area that we felt was more suited to a Renaissance Zone project right now, rather than just continuing in a straight line.
Any other commissioners have any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I think last year when we updated it, we included those blocks, looks like 21 through 25, intentionally, because they were adjacent to the college. Has our focus changed?
Yeah, we proposed a overlay district that next to DSU. That didn't go over so well, and so we scrapped that project. And it was one of Mr. Gau's, I think, first public meetings with me, anyway.
Yeah,
And it was
I'll
a
never
fun
forget it.
experience for him, sitting in the back of the room, pretending he wasn't there. It wasn't well received, and so there didn't seem like there was a lot of push or emphasis that that area wanted to move forward with improvements, not only from that overlay district, but also there hasn't been any interest or request for the Renaissance Zone. So I mean, that's why, yes, we did add those in last year, sir, and it was with good intention, but it didn't follow through.
Thank you.
Mr. Hadley, I do like the idea, you did extend it to State Avenue. That corner there, I think, is pretty important with that old hotel that's run down, and I think that was important to include that on there.
Yes, we see that as one of the big projects that maybe could move forward.
Is that the new brewery opening up? That's part of it.
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right.
They actually chose not to take advantage of it.
Really?
No. I think it was a timing thing. But,
Probably because they're all done already, huh?
well, they've already started work,
Yeah.
so yeah.
I'm thinking they're included in the existing Renaissance Zone, though, aren't they?
Right.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else, any other questions or concerns or comments?
all the people that are planned to be included would be notified.
Okay.
And then, if we wanted to move forward on a hearing, we'd have that next meeting, if that's something you want to do. If you want to look at it for a month and talk about it next month, we can surely do that as well, whatever your wish is.
Mr. Hadley, a quick question. Can you review the benefits of being in the Renaissance Zone, what they get from that?
Yeah, they get a 5-year freeze in tax valuation. So it actually, if you put $200,000 into your building, you're not assessed at that for a 5-year period. So it's actually quite a great benefit if someone's going to do some improvements to
Is it capped?
I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to find that actually for you.
There was a minimum. I
I'm-
remember
there's
there
a
was a
minimum,
minimum,
yeah.
but I don't know if there's a-
There's a minimum, but I don't know this cap. Do you know, Jan, off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, no. I would be surprised if there was, but it's something we can just follow up on at the next
Yeah.
meeting. And
I guess I've never been asked that, so. We will find out.
Okay. Anything else, anyone? If not, we can move on to the next item.
Would you, Mr. Chairman, would we like to, hearing or no hearing next month?
Should we,
That's the only thing.
do you think we're ready for a hearing next month? Are you guys going to have any other concerns? Or should we have it on right away? I mean, I think we're fine.
Yep, I agree.
Anticipate anybody coming forward? Has there been any discussion on it that's going to complain or be opposed?
There hasn't yet. We're going to present this to the school board, the county. The taxing districts need to weigh in every time we do a change to this, so we will be going to those folks. I don't anticipate that they're going to have any concerns. They typically don't, but we keep them in the loop. I don't believe so. I mean, the worst thing that we could probably hear back, I did reach out to Block 1, because we just did include that this last year as well. The only other owner, that's where the new C-store is being built and whatnot, and they didn't take advantage of the Renaissance Zone. The other owner in that block does not want to pursue a project either, so that's one of the reasons we're taking it out. So I think that would be the only comments that we might get back. Someone might come back and say that, hey, we were thinking about doing one, which would be great, but this would maybe push it to the forefront, and we could change the map at that time if we wanted.
Mr. Hadley, what would be the reason to not take advantage of it? You mentioned timing?
Mostly, I think most people, it's with timing of their project. They don't really plan that into their financial and construction. Our construction period is pretty short, and so they don't necessarily start this in November, December, January, or whenever they need to get the go to start and hit the ground running in April or May. And so then they look at it and go, well, yeah, it would be a great benefit, but unfortunately we didn't do that. I would have to say that's probably our biggest culprit for people not taking advantage of. I know that's the Fat Fish, what they're...
How long does
their
that
issue
process take, Walter?
I'm sorry.
How long does that process take when they apply for it?
About a month and a half. I mean, it's no different than the daycare and whatnot, the same process that we do with that. It needs to come to this board for a public hearing, and then goes to the city commission. So it isn't 6 months, but it does take a little bit of time.
Yeah, we just need to keep working on the education on it. I mean, a lot of people, it's always an afterthought, it seems like, so.
Yeah, we try, but it seems like, whenever there's like catfish folks, they just kind of dropped in, and then all of a sudden they started, and, I mean, I think all of us and then all of the circles that we usually talk to know about it, but then, I mean, I guess the best thing to do too is word of mouth. We're all kind of touch different people, and, that just say that there's a benefit. We try to get it out there as much as we possibly can, but it seems like a never-ending battle.
All right, so thoughts? You guys think we should move ahead with the hearing next meeting?
Yes.
That sounds like a consensus, so,
Okay, thank you, sir.
all right. All right, the next item on our work session is the old hospital. I guess that's you again, Mr. Hadley.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a little old news for Mr. Chairman, but because last night they approved the development agreement for this to move forward, and I just wanted the Planning Commission to realize that this project was moving forward. This was approved in 2015 as a mixed-use development for office, retail, medical, apartments, some storage for on-site units, whatnot, kind of a nice mix of uses up there. A hospital employee actually purchased the building. If you watch the news, it was on. They actually had it on this morning, I believe. I don't know if it was on last night, but it was on this morning. So it's an exciting project because we all don't want this building to sit here and just decay and not be occupied. So it winds up being, as of last week, I believe, he became the owner of it. So it is privately owned now and moving forward. They probably will be coming back in for a special use permit or an amendment to the planned unit development for a mental health facility, from the way it sounds, an overnight mental health facility. And that wasn't included. I mean, that was kind of outside of the total scope of what we looked at in 2015, so I told them that they would need to come back in for that approval, and they're fine with that. So this is just more of kind of an FYI for you, just to let you know, and it is an exciting project to get moving back in the heart of Dickinson.
That's good. I hate to see an empty building that big.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see. Any other questions or concerns or comments on this one? I think we're all happy to see it back into life. I'm not just going to decay there forever, so we'll move on. Looks like we're onto the Dickinson Hills.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dickinson Hills, this is once again just an update. This is a 2014 final approval that the City Commission gave to the Dickinson Hills Shopping Center. This development agreement has also been approved at the City Commission level. The area in kind of a light tan in this area is what's considered phase 1 right now, and that's going to be moving forward and start to be built this year. We have 4 retail stores that are going to be open by January 2nd of next year. They are moving forward as far as we're working with the engineering plans and lighting plans and other stuff right now. As you see, this picture, basically the south part of it, does not depict what was approved by the Planning Commission, the dark brown. They've transitioned to more retail in that area, and they will have to come back to you as an amendment to this planned unit development as well at some time in the future. And sometime in the future is probably going to be in the next month or 2. So just kind of wanted to let you know they're taking the emphasis off of residential, which is the stuff behind. There used to be a lot more residential planned in that area, and the north part of the site is pretty much the same. So once again, this is kind of a project that has been lingering around for a number of years. The City Commission did approve their development agreement for them to move forward. We will be amending that as well as this moves forward down the road and through our public hearing process. But it is kind of an exciting retail project for the city. Mr. Gaw, this is another one of the projects that he walked in on and has been right in the middle of, and it's been nice to have him involved. I don't know, Mr. Gaw, do you have anything you want to add on this?
No, I think you did a good job, except that just to kind of follow up, this was my specialty is fixing things that aren't very good. That's typically what I do, and this was a really good example of that. I had read right before I got here that there were 4 leases coming in, and there was going to be a road built. And you just see that and you're like, wow, that's great news. Well, then you show up, boots on the ground, and you realize this is a project that's had lots of ups and downs and bumps and bruises, and we have to learn to work together again. It's been going on for so long, we kind of forgot that. So the staff really got together and embraced that, as did the development team. They are really hustling right now for additional stores. We talk about the first 4. I really believe in the discussions they're having that more stores and more restaurants will follow, and that's the one thing I hear from citizens is we want more places to shop and more places to eat. So this will definitely serve them well. So we're real excited. As the weather improves, I think we will see things happen very quickly there.
Wonderful. Any other commissioners have any comments? I think we're all looking forward to the project. It's a pretty exciting project, so hopefully we get off the ground soon. All right, the last item is Country Oak zoning, Mr. Hadley. We
Yes.
don't have any attachments, so you're gonna have to,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this was a 2012 zone change up just south of Prairie Rose Elementary. There was a zone change done up there that basically changed zoning from R1 to R3 and R2. It was kind of a transition area. And in 2012, there was one block, there's 2 requests that went through at the same time. They were heard, the recommendation through the Planning Commission was approval. The one request, for whatever reason, went to the City Commission and was approved. The other one didn't. And that just came to our attention this last month. And so we looked at that, and in discussions with City Attorney Murtha, we've decided we can't really take the recommendation from 2012 because the conditions have changed in that area, and the conditions are, a lot of the property owners are completely different than the 2012 time when we actually held the public hearing. So we're going to renotice that. The city is going to renotice it and hold that public hearing next month. And so I just wanted to give you FYI. It is something that we supported in 2012. I would support today. Right now it's zoned R1. It's adjacent to the north R2 and adjacent to R3 to the south. So it does make sense right now. Just so you know where it is, you can drive by it. Sullivan owns a lot of land in that area. There's some construction material and trailers and whatnot in that entire block behind a bunch of twin homes.
okay.
And so that's the location. And, a couple blocks south of Prairie Rose. And I forgot the street, I'm sorry. It just flew out of my head. But it's in that general area. As I can tell you, the staff will support it. We supported it then. It's kind of an oversight and a cleanup matter at this point, but obviously it'll be a public hearing, and if property owners come in and they don't like the idea, which honestly I don't know if they would, because all of the adjoining properties are that type of use.
Okay.
So, and right now it's really not being developed at all, and I believe Mr. Sullivan does have some plans to develop at least a portion of that. So, just kind of an FYI
All right.
coming up. I'm going to try to do that a little more for some of these things that are a little quirky. We're going to try to bring to you and at least let you know, especially some of the stuff that was done a while ago, and we're kind of bringing it back to the table and rehashing it because a lot of us weren't here during that process. Some of us were, or some of us were in the community, obviously, but so anyway.
Okay.
So the question is R3, is that the one we're bringing back?
No, we're taking it back to R2. That was
Okay.
the proposal at that time. So yes, it'll be from R1 to R2.
Oh, okay. All right, any other questions on that one or concerns? Not. We'll go on to item 5, items not on the agenda. Is there anything that was not on the agenda that anybody'd like to discuss? Hearing none, we'll move on. Anybody, item 6, public issues of city concern not on the agenda. Is there anybody here even? Anybody in the public that would like to come up and mention anything of concern? Seeing none, guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn unless anybody has anything else they would like to add.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. We are adjourned.